I 38 male just found out that my brother 19 male has been sneaking around my wife and spying on her in a creepy and stalker way 37 female. Throwaway cause I am still the only one that knows. Background. My brother has been staying with us since lockdown. After his university closed. He couldn't stay with our parents cause they just sold the house and moved to a one-bedroom apartment, and our sister lives in a different part of the country. He was the oops baby, so I hope that explains the age gap. My wife and I have a 5-bedroom home, but currently don't have children yet. We decided to adopt 2 kids in our 40s, so we let him stay here. My brother has always been different. He's a bit of a loner and doesn't have a lot of friends outside of his online group. He's a shy geeky kid, but he's otherwise alright, or so I thought when you get to know him. So here's what happened. The Wi-Fi doesn't quite reach my brother's room, so he usually does his schoolwork and other stuff in the dining room. A few nights ago, I was walking to the fridge after waking up in the middle of the night, wife, and I sleep early, and saw my brother working on something out, and as I got closer, I saw a very compromising picture of my wife cleavage shot as she was gardening. He noticed me and quickly closed the window like he was watching lewd content. I was too shell-shocked to say anything at that time, and he just smiled awkwardly and ran to his room with the laptop. When I realized that something was up, I knew I had to find out. The next day, I asked my brother to pick up some groceries and some lunch for us, and while he was away, I went to his room, something I've never done since he moved, and well, it wasn't pretty. I saw a couple of my wife's bras and some of her underwear, which I can only assume he used to pleasure himself. I took his laptop and decided to snoop. I knew his password cause I borrowed his Crunchyroll account to watch this anime my friend recommended. I don't usually watch anime. There I saw some of the most sickening entries I've read. There were pictures of my wife in a towel, her working out, her in compromising positions, etc. All taken without her consent by the looks of it. The ducker even logs every time he touches himself to the image of my wife. The creepiest part, he sometimes listens in on us when we have sex. My wife can be a bit loud, but we didn't think it would be a problem since his bedroom was in a different part of the house, guest bedroom. I left the room feeling like I needed a shower. It was absolutely disgusting. Now I don't know what to do. I find myself fighting the urge to pummel him into next week every time I see him. I haven't told my wife yet cause I am 100% sure she will feel violated and disgusted, so I want to find the best solution first before doing so. I so desperately want to kick him out, but he has nowhere else to go. Even if I do, what should I tell my parents? The truth. This will most likely break the family apart. I do plan on telling my wife soon, but if I do, I can almost guarantee she would want nothing to do with him, and would never want to visit the family if he's around. I am so ducking lost right now. Any advice will help. Still fighting the urge to beat my brother to a bloody pulp. Edit. If you're wondering, I did take pictures as proof. Small update. I told my wife. The Redditors who said I should tell her first before anything cause she was the victim were absolutely right. I am giving her all the power to decide what to do about it. A lot has happened, but there are still things that need to be settled. Too long to add here and too incomplete to make a new update post. Hopefully we'll have everything settled tomorrow or the day after. I'll write the update once everything is settled and I calm down. No. I am not going to beat up my brother, but I have thought about it. And to the people asking for the pics, you're disgusting. Hope the women in your life are proud of you. That's my wife. Please. Have some respect. Update. This update was long overdue, so I apologize to everyone who waited for this. I've had daily messages asking me about what happened, and now that I am in a better place to actually talk about it, I can tell everyone about what happened. First of all, thank you to the Redditors who pointed out that I should tell my wife first before confronting my brother. You were right. She did appreciate the fact that I gave her control over the situation. I told my wife the next day after posting, and needless to say, She did not take it well. She says she feels violated and unsafe in her own home. See? The thing is, my wife and I have been together for almost 15 years, so we literally saw this kid grow up. We took him out to the movies, to the beach, etc. We sometimes even joked to my parents that he was our practice baby. My wife has a tendency to distrust people in general, as a lot of people in her life have let her down in the past. Imagine how hurt and betrayed she was when she found out someone she trusted and loved dearly betrayed her like that. Honestly, if I wasn't consoling my wife then, I probably would have gone through with the initial idea and beat the ever-living crap out of my brother. After she calmed down and went to sleep, I called my sister and talked about the situation. My sister and I are close. Given that we're Irish twins, I feel like she needed to know, cause she has 2 teenage daughters herself, and who knows what my brother would do to them if given the chance. We talked and she was clearly mad. She loves my wife like a sister, and they're quite close themselves. She said she would support whatever decision we make and that our brother would also be unwelcome at her place for the foreseeable future. Then we confronted my brother. At first he denied it, but when I showed him the evidence, he started ugly crying and begging us to forgive him. I gave him an ultimatum. Either he lets me in his phone, laptop and delete everything, or I call the police. There was so much more crap on his computer than I initially thought. So many more stolen pictures of my wife that were definitely taken without consent. The ducker even recorded the audio of us having sex. Who does that? So after hours of me looking for as much crap as possible, and pretty much clearing most of his hard drive, he eventually left without much of a fight. Oh, and we definitely threw out my wife's defiled underwear and are most likely going to have the room he stayed in cleaned professionally. I checked and thankfully he didn't have any hidden cameras anywhere. Oh, and if you're wondering how he got pictures of my wife in a towel, the shower for the masters doesn't have hot water yet, so my wife uses the shared one in the same area. She would usually walk out of the bathroom with just a towel on and go change in our walk-in closet. This shouldn't have been a problem cause the guest bedroom was in a different part of the house far from the main bedrooms, and it had its own bathroom, so my brother had no reason for being there. Needless to say, my wife is still shaken up about the whole thing, which is why I didn't think about writing an update until now. I am sorry, but my wife's well-being is my priority above anything else. My mom eventually called me asking what happened. She seemed very confused, so I figured my brother didn't tell her anything at all. I told her what happened, and needless to say, it did not end well. She kept asking me to forgive my brother and take him back in. She ranted about how difficult it would be to support him and how what I am doing is breaking the family apart. I let her talk till I eventually said my brother would no longer be welcome in my home. I told her that she needed to get in therapy and that until then, there's no chance we would ever see him. My mom told me she talked to my sister about it, and I said, good luck. She's mad at him too. Not sure what's going to happen to our family now. The reason why we got the big house was cause we wanted everyone to come over during the holidays and stay with us, but I am not sure if my parents will at this point, and there's no chance my brother is ever coming back anytime soon. Thankfully my sister is 100% on my side, and we're going to talk about what we're doing for Thanksgiving soon. My wife hasn't really been the same either, but she's getting better now that my brother is gone. We're talking about therapy, which is something she's very willing to try out. We took a drive to the beach earlier, chill guys. We didn't leave the car and talked about the future. We both agreed that after this whole COVID thing is over, we're going to finally start our family with kids. We want to. Being a mom is something she always wanted, but we both wanted to be financially secure enough to give them a good life and for us to also be in a position where we didn't have to work so much and just spend time with them. The sparkle in her eyes when we talked about our life together with kids told me that while things aren't good right now, we're going to be okay. I honestly can't wait to be a dad myself. So yeah. Long story short, brother is gone. Wife is still sad. Sister is on my side, but mom isn't, and I am going to be a dad in a few years. Thanks to everyone who gave me their advice. It honestly helped me clear my head and make the right decision to tell my wife first. Oh, and to answer questions that may come up. No. We did not go to the police. My brother deleted everything voluntarily and left without a trace. I am sure the pictures are still out there somewhere, but thankfully they aren't too explicit that it would severely damage my wife's reputation. And no, we aren't going to try and get pregnant or anything like that. We plan on adopting, which is something we both talked about early on. So again, thanks to everyone who messaged and commented. I may not have read everything nor have I replied to everyone, but rest assured you are all greatly appreciated. This is horrible. What the duck is the mom on about? Your son is disgusting. Why are you asking forgiveness for him? Presumably for their own convenience. Brother was an "oh I did a mistake" baby and significantly younger than original poster. Who seems to be at least mid-30s if not early 40s already. If he and wife were looking forward to adopt soon, parents would probably be 60 plus. And they'd already moved into a one-bedroom apartment with little extra space for the brother. So they probably wanted to enjoy retirement as empty nesters. I would have still notified the police. I hope to God he doesn't do this to anyone else. A huge concern for me is all of the pictures of her that he likely posted that are probably still floating around out there. Where I live, if you take pics and post them, the person can sue for damages. I get they are being gracious, but I would be way pettier. I don't understand why they didn't go to the police. The underwear, the recording, the pictures. He's only 19 and that was his sister-in-law. They've just released a very dangerous individual out into the world. Law enforcement don't have him on their radar. He's not getting any help. He hasn't suffered any consequences for his actions. Just been handed a get-out-of-jail-free card. This person is going to do something much worse to someone else. I just don't understand why. When his actions were so severe towards original poster's wife. Just deleting the evidence and not being around him for the near future was the acceptable way forward. No woman is safe living with such a person. Because going to the police is ducking traumatic. You have to relive your victimization over and over again. The criminal justice system is not designed to help anyone. Sending him to jail won't fix him. It'll just give him a record which may or may not be taken seriously. Please try a little bit harder not to blame victims. It is not, as you infer, the victim's job to keep him off of the streets. Keep him from raping or get him help. The victim gets to choose how they want to deal with their trauma, and sometimes that means not going to the police or going when they want to. Right. But they deleted all the evidence. So that won't be possible in the future. Which usually hospitals' crisis centers won't do. In case victims decide to report when they are at a different stage in their healing process. Therefore, the husband, this person's parent and other sister, gave this person a free pass for what they did to original poster's wife. As any of them could have kept a copy of the evidence for safekeeping for her. Or insisted that the predator take classes to teach not committing violence against women, or see a therapist that specialize in this, as therapists sometimes have a duty of care to notify authorities if they think someone could be a danger. At no point did I say that any of that was on original poster's wife or her fault. There are other people involved in the situation who, in my opinion, didn't do enough to give the predator accountability. The mom was making excuses for him, and original poster didn't sound like he was going no contact forever on his brother. Both those things are wild to me. Me judging the lack of action by other people isn't blaming original poster's wife for anything. Second story. I caught my neighbor's son stealing my underwear. Moved into the apartment at the start of January. Since then I have been convinced that someone is stealing my underwear, bra, etc. Every floor has a pair of washer-dryer units. And since moving in I have had almost a dozen different things just disappear from the washer-dryer. The room is so tiny that there is nowhere to sit. Aside from sitting on top of one of the machines. So it makes it very hard to wait for it. 2 weeks ago I went and bought a bunch of new things. And when I went to go remove stuff from the washer, I noticed that several things I had just bought went missing. Armed with this and the fact it was early Saturday morning, I went to our landlord and she was able to tell me during the 35 minutes of washing the only person who entered was my next door neighbor's son. Now at this point I was furious and confronted the parents. The parents called me a liar and basically told me off. They absolutely refused to believe me. However, since confronting them, I have had nothing go missing since then. Today, I put laundry on and started cleaning my unit. When I went to go drop trash off, I checked the laundry and discovered our neighbor's son going the dryer I was using. I again confronted the parents, and they immediately started screaming at me for harassing their son, and threatened to call the police on me for harassing their son, and threatened to sue me for slandering their son by implying he is a pervert. My question is, does this count as theft, and can I go to the police and file a complaint? I don't want my clothing back. At this point. Update. A long story short, I went to station, made a report. Gave them all the details I had along with showing them a copy of the security camera footage of both incidents that my landlord was kind enough to send to me. The police officer didn't seem to really care for my impression, but he made a report. No one to my knowledge ever came out or anything. Anyways, today the father and son came to my door today, and he basically apologized for accusing me of lying, and made his son apologize to me awkward, and gave me a bag consisting of my clothing. I told him I didn't particularly want to that stuff again, and was going to throw it out. Just the idea of keeping it made me disgusted. So the father kindly gave me the cash value for a rough estimate of the items, and then some. Then told me if stuff goes missing to come to him first. I am satisfied, I guess. The entire situation seems extremely uncomfortable and awkward. I went to our landlord and she was able to tell me. How did she know this? Sorry, our building has a video camera on each floor in front of the elevator. The laundry room is right next to it. She was able to fast forward the time in which I dropped my clothing off, and was able to determine it was only him. Outstanding news for you. For your neighbor's kid. Not so much. Call the cops. This kid needs help. And the only way to force it, given the actions of the parents, is to get him into the justice system. Unfortunately. Make the report. And ask your landlord to save the footage. There's your proof right there. Report it. Tell the police you have proof. But would still need to prove that something was stolen though. I don't doubt original poster. But unless the camera caught him walking out holding the garments, it's still just my stuff has been going missing. Unless original poster has video of themselves putting in each piece of laundry. Videoing themselves leaving and all. Then coming back with no gaps in coverage, etc. It's still gonna be he said, she said. I guess maybe receipts for the new stuff bought. But could still be argued that original poster just lost the stuff or threw it away or something. Don't see how this can really work as proof. Original poster may know for sure, but it still rides on original poster word that her stuff went missing. This is likely one of the approaches the soon-to-be defendant's lawyer takes. But luckily for original poster, we don't need every murderer to be caught on video stabbing their victim, smiling and waving to the camera, and then using the blood to write "it was me, Bob Robertson, and not my twin brother that doesn't exist. I, being of sound mind and body, do hereby admit my guilt in this murder. I will be eagerly awaiting my arrest down the hall in my apartment. Please wipe your feet on the way in. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.